In honor of Summoners War's 10th anniversary, today we're talking about 10 must-build units for new players. These are in no particular order. We're going to break this down into a few segments. The first is the farmable / free-to-play segment. The second is a smaller, you'll probably get one segment. And then finally, a valuable Nat 5 segment. This list is based around units that can be used in the most places. So you build these units and you're going to get a lot of mileage out of them. So with that in mind, let's just get Fran and Lauren out of the way real quick. Honestly, if you were to click on any video on this channel, you would have a pretty solid non-zero chance of me talking about either, if not both of these monsters in that video. Lauren and Fran can both be used in pretty much every dungeon. The only place where it gets a little bit dicey is the Giant's Abyss, where that counterattack starts ticking up a lot faster with units that hit 3 times. You can use them in TOA. Lauren is great single target control, and Fran is just a solid healer and source of immunity for new players. She also gives attack buff, which is so relevant. Lauren can also be used in raids as a source of slow and defense break. The next one that I wanted to talk about is Spectra, specifically Second Awakened Spectra, who's the Fire Griffin. You can use Spectra in dragons. I've seen people force Spectra in giants. You can use them in TOA or frankly, anywhere that you need max HP scaling damage. The slow and attack bar pushback is also very valuable. Next, Vertihile the Fire Vampire. Thank John come to us, this dude is fusible now. When I started playing the game, Verd was not fusible. I got him through summoning stones, which are now exclusive summons. It'd be easier to talk about where Verd can't be used, to be honest. Like, you can rune him on Triple Revenge or Swift in RTA, you can use him in TOA, any initialism in the game, you can use him. He's also a staple in Dragons. He was already important and experienced a surge in popularity when the Trickaroo team was at its peak. And today, he is still a must-build unit for new players. Generally speaking, when you use Verd on a team in dungeons, you'll want to rune him so that he moves last, so that way you maximize the amount of attack bar you gain from his passive. Once you have this guy, you're going to be cycling so many turns that you'll forget your opponents are even supposed to have turns. Also, if you pick him against Leo and RTA, the math works out in your favor. The next 3 I'm going to cover just back to back because they're all dogs. It's Ikaru, Rauk, and Crow. Ikaru is great independently or in triplicate for the Trickaroo team. He can team up with up to 3 additional party members, leading to a total attacking value of 4 monsters at once. It takes a lot of runing to get him there, but with some time, you'll have a fully functioning Ikaru. Rauk works perfectly right when you second awaken him. He'll team up with 2 additional units. Super great damage dealer. And then there's Crow, who is arguably the best damage dealer for new players. All of them have usability in solo R5 and in dungeons. If you've been on the channel for a little while too, you'll know that I recommend the Vampires Walking Dogs team for the Punisher's Crypt. And these are the dogs. Next is the Homunculus, specifically the Attack Homunculus, and you can have a choice for this one, either the Wind or Water, depending on what units you're strong in. The reason why you choose the Wind one is if you're short on max HP damage scaling units, or if you want to start working on a super high efficiency Giants farming team later in the game. But early, he's great too. Forgot how to end a sentence. The Water one is stellar for crowd control. He has an AoE first skill, AoE second skill, AoE third skill. What? That's AoE on every skill. That sounds crazy. That's because it is. The Water one is great in Rift dungeons, also solid crowd control option for TOA. Basically, they thrive in PvE environments because that's predominantly where you can use them. Can't use them in RTA. But this is for new players, so it doesn't matter. Kind of matters. Doesn't matter. Veramos. I've been aching to talk about Veramos ever since I started this video. I should have led with him. Legit, one of my favorite units right now. Like, actually one of my favorites. I find myself recommending him as a damage dealer for practically everything in the game right now. Giants, Dragons, TOA. He can also be crowd control option for TOA too. He does transition really well into RTA and PvP environments when you're up against a lot of debuffs too. Just watch out for attack bar pushback. He's kind of susceptible to that. And like stuns, but you know. This next one is kind of a maybe build. You know, some people could find use in this. I know the video title is must build, but I'd also like to include this one as maybe build. It's Bernard. Second Awakened Bernard is actually really cool in Rift dungeons. You can also use him in Giants around that time when you're trying to transition into the Abyss floors. But anywhere you need turn cycling with attack bar gain and a speed buff, you can use him. Next, we're going back into the Fusion Hexagram for Riley, the Wind Totemist. She's just straight up one of the best healers in the game, and you can get her totally for free. I did a video semi-recently on the top 5 fusible monsters for RTA, and spoiler, she's number 1, dude. She's so good. Like, actually. You can also use her in Giants. It's gonna go real slow though, but she's a great must-build unit. Eventually. Finally, it's Belger, the Fire Lightning Emperor. He is also in the, wait, that's 11, I think. No, I added Fran too. This is number 12. 12 must build units for new players. Oh my God. Well, Belger is another one of those units that you don't necessarily need to build right away, but you should build him eventually. He has a whole raids team named after him in BJ5, which stands for Belger Jansen raid level 5. You can also use him on the time limit floors in lab against the slime boss, etc. Next up, we're gonna move into the you'll probably get one category. This one we'll keep really, really brief. Lucian, the Wind Joker. He is still one of the only sources of AoE ignore defense in the game. And there's no prerequisite at all. It just happens. Has a 33% attack power lead too. You can use him in Giants or actually any dungeon where you need to clear waves quickly. Next is the Wind Barbarian King, Frostvelg. Frostvelg actually came back into popularity with the advent of Giant's Abyss. His attack buff and speed buff and also his source of brand is a huge help when you're trying to find a solid team to start you off. You can also use him in the Rift Beasts. Specifically, he's great in the water one. And I also use him on Mondays when it's slime time. Tyron the Water Sylph is one of the greatest crowd control units just in the game, period. 19% speed lead, AoE freeze and slow, attack bar pushback, and admittedly the worst first skill in the game. Just objectively speaking, it is the worst first skill in the game, but it doesn't matter because the rest of his kit is so good that we just ignore it and we rune him on Despair, so maybe he stuns somebody on that. Cool. Thanks, Tyron. Thanks for being you. Next, it's the Nat 5s category. First, it's Teshar for anywhere that you need damage. You can use him in Giants, Secret Dungeons, Time Limit Floors, Slime Boss, etc. Next is Varad, the Water Dragon. It's like Big Daddy version of Tyron. Tyron with wings is just crowd control, and also not a great first skill. Really funny the way that that happens. But it got better though, it scales with defense. And lastly, Rika, the Fire Occult Girl. You could also throw Charlotte in the mix here, who's the Wind Occult Girl too. Both are just stellar. Rika offers crowd control as well as dots for damage and TOA, and then Charlotte offers crowd control in the form of attack bar pushback, glancing, and attack bar gain for you. There we go. That's actually a lot more than 10 must-build units for new players in Summoner's War. Let me know if I missed any that you would like to see on your list, and I will talk to y'all later.